All right, today we're going to dive into a classic piece of Korean literature that, looks pretty simple on the surface, but it's actually a brilliant philosophical puzzle. It's a story about a test, and the answer is not at all what you'd expect.
So, let me ask you this. If you wanted to find out if someone was a true spiritual master, how would you test them? Well, the 13th century Korean poet Gyu-bo, he had a pretty wild idea. He decided he was going to test a hermit's mind using, of all things, drunken rage.
The poem kicks off with this line right here, and it's basically the poet's mission statement. He's not just dropping by for a friendly visit. Nope, he's there to conduct an experiment.
Let's actually break this down character by character. It's pretty cool. First up, we have yuk, pronounced yok in Korean, which means to desire. Then you have shi, or shi, which means to test. So put them together, 욕시, and you get wanting to test. And what does he want to test? The sanyeonrin-sin. That's sun for mountain, in for person, and sim for mind. So the whole line just means wanting to test the mind of the mountain person. Simple as that.
Okay, so how's he going to do it? Well, this next line reveals his, let's say, very provocative method.
And this is where the plan gets interesting. We start with numon, which is just to enter the gate. Then comes son, meaning first. And the action? It's chui-bi. Now chui means drunk, but that last character, bi, is a really rare one. It means with rage. So the poet literally barges in, pretending to be drunk and absolutely furious. This is his test.
So you can imagine the scene, right? This guy just storms in. And this next line, this is the most critical part of the whole poem. It's the result of the test. How did the hermit react to this completely outrageous behavior?
And here's what happened. Nothing. The line starts with Leo, meaning completely. Then 부진, not seen. And what wasn't seen? 시논, that's joy and anger. The hermit showed absolutely zero emotional response. No happiness to see a visitor, and no anger at this guy storming in. Just a blank. And it's this complete and total lack of reaction that leads the poet to his incredible conclusion in the very last line of the poem.
This line is the poet's big aha moment. It starts with 시주에, which means for the first time, to realize. And what did he finally realize? That the hermit was a jingo-sa, a true great scholar. So the test didn't just work, it revealed something absolutely profound about this person.
But this leaves us with the big question, right? The puzzle at the heart of the poem. Why does this prove anything? I mean, isn't showing no emotion just kind of cold? Why would a complete blank slate convince the poet that he was in the presence of a truly great master?
To really get this, we have to look beyond the poem itself. The answer isn't about being polite, or even about self-control in the way that you and I might think about it. Specifically, the answer is in a framework for understanding the mind that comes from early Buddhist philosophy. And you have to remember, a scholar like Gyu-bo would have been completely fluent in these ideas. This was his world. And this, right here, is the key that unlocks the entire poem. See, in early Buddhism, the path to full enlightenment isn't one giant leap. It's a progression through 4 very distinct stages, and you move from one stage to the next by getting rid of specific mental impurities, or what they call defilements.
So here are the 4 stages: the stream enterer, the once returner, the non-returner, and finally, the arahant, or the fully enlightened being. Now, for our puzzle, we really just need to zoom in on stages 2 and 3.
Let's start with stage 2, the once returner. Now, this is a very advanced person, but they're not quite fully free yet. At this stage, some of the big emotional drivers, like sensual desire and ill will, basically anger, are greatly weakened. They're still there, but they've lost almost all of their power. This person would have incredible self-control for sure, but the seed of anger still exists. The potential is still there.
But now, let's look at the next level up, the 3rd stage, the non-returner. This is where a truly massive shift happens.
You see, a non-returner doesn't just weaken these things. They are completely eliminated. The actual capacity for sensual desire and for ill will, for anger, has been totally uprooted from their mind. It's not being suppressed. It's just gone. And here's where it all just clicks into place. The poet observed 了不見喜愠, absolutely no sign of joy or anger. Now, in this Buddhist framework, even joy is seen as a subtle form of sensual desire, right? It's a grasping for a pleasant feeling. So the hermit's lack of both joy and anger is a perfect match for the description of a stage 3 non-returner, someone whose mind is totally free from those specific defilements.
So the crucial point is this. The hermit wasn't just standing there gritting his teeth trying to control his temper. The poet realized there was no temper there to control. He was witnessing someone who had fundamentally rewired their own mind to a state that's beyond our ordinary emotional reactions. This wasn't just a hermit. This was a saint. So this short, really simple-looking poem is actually a razor-sharp spiritual diagnostic test. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other ancient masterpieces out there aren't just stories, but are actually sophisticated puzzles, just waiting for us to find the right key?